Hey everybody, so today is a bit of a perfume related chat. If you have been for a while on my channel, you know that perfumes is something I'm extremely passionate about, something I film a lot about, something that is a central core thing to my channel. It's really largely a channel dedicated to my love of perfumes. Today is a tea day. We're gonna just sit down and chat. I think it's kind of fun to do these videos where I pull topics from a comment section over long periods of time and just sort of address certain things that had come up multiple times and that could be interesting to discuss on the channel on a more formal basis. So today we're having some glitter and gold David's tea with some coffee cream. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite winter drinks. And we're going to discuss a few points having to do with perfumes. First of all, perfume etiquette. I've had some questions and I've had some comments. I usually, when I'm reviewing perfumes or talk about the perfumes in my rotation, I usually am very clear about whether I would wear that particular perfume to work or not, and why. Is it a sillage issue? Is it an issue with the construction of the perfume? Is it too sexy? Why not wear it to work? And just here, I would like to clarify and discuss certain points to do with perfume etiquette in general. Now, in a perfect world, if it was up to no scent policies everywhere, we would not be wearing fragrances to work at all. In fact, none of our products, including body care products, would have any fragrances in them at all. Now that makes for an incredibly boring world where one of your chief senses is completely excluded from the party of life. Our olfactory sense is just as important as any other sense, and for me it's a very, very important one because I perceive a lot of my information through olfaction. So it's very interesting that, for me, it's very interesting that I'm not actually bothered by the no scent policy, because I do think it's important to respect the personal space of other people, and wearing very heavy dosing of perfume can be quite intrusive. And for all of us, it's just important to keep in mind that our freedom ends where another person's freedom begins. And it's absolutely true that some people are allergic, some people really hate fragrances, and sometimes even if a person is not allergic, they might hate your perfume. So the best policy for me, in my opinion, is just to go super, super minimal with your application. Now, I'm not saying that you can't wear perfumes, although your job might be saying just that, as mine is, but I wear perfume for me. So I wear very small amounts unless I'm going out or going to a party or something like that. Then of course you can be a little bit more liberal. But at work, it's very important to dose appropriately and to choose scents that are more socially acceptable. Of course, that limits your use of really cool, amazing fragrances, but that's just how it is. You know, you really don't want to offend other people's noses because you probably don't want your nose to be offended. So do it onto others as you wish they would do onto you. So in that sense, I do wear fragrances. My employer probably shouldn't know that I do because there is a no scent policy where I work, but I do wear very small amounts of fragrances, and unless you're right faced, like really close with me, you probably won't be able to smell. That way I can still appreciate the fragrance because it's within my personal space, but it's not intruding upon anybody else's, and I think that's important. So let's leave this behind. This is just like an etiquette, perfume wearing etiquette. Now, applications of perfumes. Applications of perfumes, I think, really entirely depends on the perfume. Where you wear your perfume, as in which place in your body you apply it onto, will depend heavily upon what kind of perfume we're talking about. Now, some fragrances really bloom on skin. For instance, Chanel No. 5 is the kind of perfume that does the best when it's in contact with real skin. Certain fragrances, especially the really heavy ones with heavy sillage, could benefit from application onto under the clothes, onto the bare body, so that there's a barrier between the world and the fragrance and it's dissipating a little bit softer. If the fragrance is very prominent, then I would wear it at the base of your spine under the clothes. So the wafting of the scent is not super severe. Otherwise, of course, the pulse points are a classic way to apply your fragrance. And some fragrances, I feel the ones that last the worst, poor longevity fragrances do well on clothes because the molecules are better able to grab onto the fabric than they are onto the skin, and they evaporate much slower from the fabric. So depending on the perfume, I would wear them differently. It's just a matter of getting to know the fragrance that you're talking about at the moment. Then another point that I would like to make is storage of perfumes. I've had a lot of questions about storage of perfumes, and really the biggest rule that one needs to abide by when choosing where to store perfumes is just store it away from light. It's best, it's preserving the integrity, molecular integrity of the actual perfume, and it keeps it from turning colors, although I've stored perfumes in dark spots before and they have still turned color, although the scent remained intact. That can happen, that's fine. And the important thing to keep in mind is that as long as it's a reasonably dry area, I would warn you against storing your perfumes in the bathroom. That's not the best spot for them. Dark area, somewhere where it's reasonably dry, therefore the bathroom is out of the question, and an area where hopefully the temperature doesn't go up too high, because thermal reactions also will change the integrity of the scent. For me, I have a little sort of alcove, not alcove, but like a little linen closet, tiny little linen closet next to the master bedroom. And one of the shelves in there is dedicated to my perfume collection. It's a pretty deep closet, so it's dark, it's dry, and it is easy to access. So that's what I can give you advice on in terms of storing your fragrances. One of the things that I do with my fragrances also in terms of storage that could be interesting for you, or you might want to try, this only works if you have a ton of fragrances like myself. I have over 200, well over 200. This will only work if you have lots, otherwise it doesn't make sense to do. But what I do is I group my fragrances, and I don't only group them in seasons. I kind of go from lightest citrusy or tea or something really, really summery and light, all the way to deep, dark and sexy, really heavy perfumes. So it's pretty much like summer to winter in terms of heaviness, in terms of sillage, in terms of dissipation as well. And then I also, within that sort of gradient, I cluster them in different perfume groups. So florals are among themselves. So I have a group of florals, for instance, in my spring and summer perfumes, and then a cluster of florals in my fall and winter perfumes, because they're also florals, but they're different. I would have some woody scents clustered together. I would have some really sweet scents clustered together, and that way I really am aware of the map of where my perfumes are located. And if I want to go say, oh, I feel like wearing something sweet today, I would go towards my sweet section, and then I have a much easier time sort of picking through them and just picking the one that I want. This only becomes important once your collection probably tips over 20-30 bottles. Anywhere below that, where sane people reside, not me, is where sort of your organization doesn't really matter all that much, because you know what you have and it's right there. In terms of scent wearing and perception of scents, I know that, okay, I'm going to address something that is a pet peeve of mine, and I really like my viewers. I think my viewers are really sensible, intelligent people. However, sometimes, very infrequently, I do get certain comments that irk me about perfumes, and I will go ahead and address that. What I hate to hear is when somebody's like, oh, that smells like a grandma perfume on me. Have you heard that said? Or maybe if you have said that before, I strongly urge you to consider never saying that again. I really hate when people say that, because that concept actually doesn't exist. And as you're talking about, this is a grandma perfume, you really are like kind of crapping all over A, the perfume, B, the genre of perfume, C, classics in general, and usually because it's the classics that get those reactions, and D, for some reason, older people. I have no idea why it came across to be so negative. Oh, this is a grandma scent. But I urge you to never say that because it makes you sound bad. And it comes across as a diss for sure. Most of the time when people are talking about these fragrances, they're talking about beautiful classics, timeless perfumes. So I urge you to never utter those words. I think the only person you're really hurting is you, because you come across as a very snobby, not knowledgeable, and in general very juvenile. Some of my very favorite perfumes were perfumes that my mother wore, perfumes that my grandma wore, because they really remind me of cozy, good old times, return to childhood. And scents can really throw you for a loop. They can throw you into the past like nothing else can, and awaken memories, because the connection between our limbic system and our olfactory system is very powerful, and oftentimes scents bring back memories better than anything else in the world. So I do urge you to actually go ahead and find out what it was that your mom wore when you were 8, 9, 5, and see if you like it, because chances are these are the scents that are going to make you feel cozy and loved and happy. And I urge you to go ahead and take advantage of scent memories that you might have and you might not be aware of. That's it for today. I hope it was interesting for you to listen to some of the common topics that I wanted to discuss around perfume. Fragrances are a passion of mine. They make me extremely happy, and I'm so happy to have people around who share this excitement. I hope you guys have a good day. See you later. Bye bye.